This moment where things get kind of aggressive. He's like, "You're going to find out how I'll handle this." And that's something an attorney would say if they want to be combative with another attorney. That's not the kind of thing a publicist would say. One time I was walking into the studio and there was this small gap, and bleak beans. Everybody was in there and I was like, "Man, I'm telling you, y'all got a chance right now. Just flood it. Put out a lot of music because 50 Cent is coming." Behind the scenes, 50 Cent reportedly wanted to include footage and testimony that tied Jay-Z directly to serious wrongdoing connected to Diddy. Not rumors, not industry gossip, allegations involving knowledge, involvement, and cover-ups. 50 Cent later confirmed the footage exists. He didn't deny it. He didn't backtrack. He said straight up that he has it, and I know 50, the way you run this cannot be all that you have. Is there other stuff that you just have not shown? Yeah. Well, everything couldn't make it. There were only 4 episodes, right? So, it was a lot. You had to pick and choose things. According to people close to the situation, the reason that footage matters is because it allegedly shows Jay-Z knew about illegal activity happening around him and chose not to stop it. Worse, it suggests he benefited from staying silent while others were harmed. That's not just morally wrong. That's criminal if proven. How many victims? There was none for her. How many victims potentially do you think there could be? Thousands. Thousands. I've talked to hundreds that I deal with still myself. I have 3 victims right now who are willing to give testimony about not only what Mr. Carter has done to them, but his wife as well. They're a nasty little couple. They do nasty things. Gone deal. Diddy's former bodyguard backed this up by saying Jay-Z and Diddy were far closer. Jay-Z's legal team later claimed. Not casual friends, not distant business partners, close enough to know what was really going on behind closed doors, and that's where the prison talk comes in. According to these allegations, Jay-Z didn't just miss the signs. He allegedly knew. He allegedly stayed quiet. And people around him were allegedly paid off or silenced to keep things buried. That's obstruction territory. That's conspiracy territory. That's prison territory. When Jaguar Wright started saying similar things publicly, her interviews were removed almost immediately. She started speaking out against Jay-Z. Her son was shot and killed. My son died because he was my son. He died because of you. He was targeted because he's my son. He was about to be working on his EP. I bought Philadelphia for him so he didn't have to sign to a company because I knew what it was going to do. He interned at Roc Nation and they approached him to sacrifice me. I saw his death when he was 19. I moved us here to stop it, to prevent it, to avoid it. They take them anyway to show you what the harm is. Giovanni, his death is why I do what I do. Clips vanished. Conversations disappeared. The same cleanup happened with the documentary. Now though, it seems 50 Cent is exposing the past and allegedly bringing in none other than Jaguar Wright to expose his history of crimes. The first of which is complicity in the death of Aaliyah. When Jaguar Wright talks about what happened to Aaliyah, she always circles back to one big question. Why was it never properly investigated? Not partly, not quietly, never at all. It was never investigated. Hype was never questioned. Lenny Kravitz made a statement and it was never publicized. She was unconscious. She didn't choose to get on that plane. There were phone calls made. There are witnesses who signed NDAs. Why would you need to sign a non-disclosure agree? Meant about a plane crash and what happened leading up to it. Please, someone answer that. Do you feel like denying? Why the heck would you need to sign a don't ask about a plane crash if it was accidental? Riddle me that. Work with me here in this moment. A plane crash should be accidental. Should be. Why would any testimony about what happened leading up to it need to be covered under a non-disclosure agreement if there wasn't foul play? In her mind, NDAs only show up when someone doesn't want the full story told. According to Jaguar, more than 25 NDAs were signed and paid out after Aaliyah's death. She says those agreements covered what people saw, what they heard, and what happened leading up to the flight. And again, she asks why, then she brings Jay-Z into it. Carter, now I'm going to ask you, why would non-disclosure agreements need to be signed for an accident? No. There were over 25 non-disclosure agreements cashed out and recorded regarding the death of that beautiful girl and every other human being that died on that plane with her. What the heck? What would you need a don't ask for that, and Diddy, hair height Williams, balls belly was a money pick without a question. And Jay-Z got 10 free videos out of Williams and hype didn't work for free. In Jaguar's view, that wasn't coincidence. She believes favors were exchanged, silence was rewarded, and people who knew things were paid off. That's why she says Jay-Z's name never comes up when Aaliyah's death is discussed publicly. I want you to think about this. Sean Carter is responsible for enacting Hype Williams to put Aaliyah on a faulty plane to move her out the way as punishment for rejecting him and so he could level up Beyoncé, who was struggling. Let's just say allegedly that happened. Now I want you to think about 106 in Park with Mary J. Blige. Free, who is a victim of Sean Carter. Mary J. Blige, who was a victim of Sean Combs, are sitting there talking about the death of Aaliyah amongst each other. Think about that. You got a Diddy victim. You got a Jay-Z victim. And you got a superstar gone. They know what happened. And yet, they had to sit there and have that conversation like they didn't know who did it. Allegedly, her main point is simple but serious. If everything was truly an accident, there would be no need for secrecy, legal silence, or payouts. And the fact that Jay-Z's career took a major leap forward right after while questions disappeared is why she believes his role deserves real investigation. After Tupac and Biggie's deaths, the fight for the top spot in rap came down to Nas and Jay-Z. And according to Jaguar, once that happened, everything started breaking Jay-Z's way. She claims Nas slowly fell apart and was pushed out of the spotlight while Jay-Z kept rising. Album after album, deal after deal. Suddenly, it was all Jay-Z everywhere. Around that same time, Jay-Z was working closely with R. Kelly. They made multiple records together and even toured together. Jaguar claims they also shared a close connection to Aaliyah. In her words, these weren't separate worlds. They were all connected. It's all Jay-Z. It's all Jay-Z. And he was working with R. Kelly. And they were making so many records together. You know, they made all of those records together. They both messed with Aaliyah. They shared so much in common. You know, and then there was a falling out. And that's like it never happened. Whoever talks about best of both worlds? Best of both worlds. Nobody talks about that. Nobody talks about this project. That got swept smooth under the rug. Why? We know why. You know what? I got a better question. How valuable is a Biggie Smalls verse? Can you put value? Puffy has been making money off of Biggie's name for longer than Biggie was alive. People keep forgetting he hadn't turned 25 yet. He was still 24 when he died. It's been over 25 years. Puffy has been making money on that boy's name longer than he lived. It supported all of Bad Boy. His catalog, clearly a Biggie Smalls verse, is very valuable. Am I wrong? Does anybody disagree with me? No, that's facts. So then what the heck happened to the commission? What happened to that album, right? It was recorded. It was being mixed and mastered upon Biggie's death. It was supposed to have come out that summer after Biggie's album because Biggie's album was slated. He died a week and a half before his album came out. Then the commission was supposed to come out and that was supposed to be his exit from Bad Boy and then starting his own company. So tell me something. And this ain't me being mean. I think everybody that knows Sean Carter knows that he will slump anyone in any relationship for $1. She also talks about how Jay-Z moved on from people who helped him early on. She brings up Dame Dash and says the way that partnership ended showed how far Jay-Z was willing to go to protect money and control. How is he messing up your money? You know, like if I'm trying to sell something, him and his lawyers, Alex Shapiro, putting a false lawsuit on me, like that, devaluing anything that I have or trying to sell. But, you know, or even down to like we were selling Rocawear, right, for like $400 million or whatever. I was going to make $40 million. And right before Tommy Hilfiger signs the papers, he makes an announcement saying that he's not with Rocawear, that he's only with Sean Carter. The whole thing messed up. And I just feel like he did that only because I was going to make $40 million. Like he just couldn't see, they get so mad if I'm going to make money. Every time I could have made a really big check, he's always stepped in and intentionally messed it up every time. Listen, don't ask me. Ask the rest of the industry. Like, you know, that's why I got away. I mean, one of the reasons. Like, if you could compare him to a character now, I'd say he's like the Penguin. He's ruthless like that with his friends or people at help. At least that's how it kind of rolled out. Then she connects it back to Aaliyah. Jaguar claims Aaliyah's death happened during a time when several careers were shifting. She points out that shortly after Aaliyah died, Jay-Z's world continued to expand while others faded away. She says when you've been in the industry long enough, you start noticing the same name surviving every storm. And then Aaliyah died and then they brought Rich Harrison in and think it's crazy right now. She liked posing with him in pictures for Page 6. Aaliyah didn't. She fell in love with Dame and Aaliyah's gone. And you have to start asking yourself questions after being in this business for this long. If you're a halfway intelligent person, when do you start questioning how lucky some people keep getting? Right. Is it really a conspiracy if the same person keeps benefiting off the same kind of tragedy over and over and over again? So, to answer your question, I'm sure he's always going to be a billionaire and I'm sure he's got great things to happen. I mean, look, he's got the job with the NFL. He's hooking all his friends up with the halftime shows. I mean, think about it. Think about the halftime shows. Jennifer Lopez, Shakira, all Rock Nation. Now, Rihanna. And then we had the whole LA thing, which of course he was involved in that. And then they pulled Mary J. Blige off to make sure she got that money for Kindle. And they had that whole moment, but all he's doing is using his friends and the people that he messes with, or at least the people that sign his non-disclosure agreements. He keeps getting them the Super Bowl gig.so. I mean, he's doing all kinds of stuff, and I do not begrudge him. It's just if you got to do the kind of things that he's done to get where he's gotten, well, forget it. I don't want it that bad. According to Jaguar Wright, the story around Jay-Z and young artists is something people were always afraid to talk about out loud. She says one of the biggest examples is Rihanna. Jaguar claims that when Rihanna first came into the industry, she was still underage, but many people treated her like a full-grown business deal instead of a kid who needed protection. She says this didn't happen by accident. According to her, powerful people around Jay-Z helped move Rihanna through rooms, parties, and situations she should never have been in at that age. Jaguar Wright explained how Rihanna was sold to Jay-Z at 16 years old. She explained how it was super sketchy that Rihanna got brought to America at only 16 years old without any parental supervision and how she auditioned for Jay-Z at 3 o'clock in the morning. She explained how it didn't make sense that Rihanna's parents would let her fly by herself after just meeting Evan Roberts all the way to America to meet with Jay-Z in the middle of the night. And she alleged that Rihanna's dad got a $500,000 payout for letting this happen. She alleged since this was all out of the blue, Rihanna would have had to flown on a private plane to get from Barbados to America because she wouldn't have had a visa and her parents were not around with her to fly to America. And Rihanna even explained how Jay-Z would not let her leave until she signed the recording contract and the label locked her in the office until 3:00 a.m. You've gone through some big changes since you've been signed at Def Jam. Can you tell me what are the biggest changes you've gone through from St. Michael's, Barbados until now you being a superstar? Well, one of them for sure is being away from my friends and family after growing up around my mom and all my friends for 17 years and then moving to a big city with no one cause all my family and friends are still in Barbados. So, after moving to a big city with, basically around strangers, that was the hardest thing for me to cope with at first. Are you lonely sometimes? I wasn't lonely, but I really do miss my family and my friends, and a lot of people have speculated this for years about Rihanna because people found it super weird. Right before Jay-Z signed Rihanna, he was working heavily with a 16-year-old Tierra Mari who signed to Def Jam by L.A. Reid. And after a while, there were rumors circulating all over that Tierra Mari and Rihanna actually had a fallout because Rihanna's career skyrocketed and Tierra Mari got let go from Def Jam. And allegedly, Tierra Mari is the Jane Doe that is suing Diddy and L.A. Reid for SA when she was just 16 years old. Jonathan Hay, who worked in public relations at the time, backs this up with his own experience. He says everyone around Rihanna believed she was older than she really was. She was taken to clubs, events, and industry spaces where ID was required. It wasn't until one night when she couldn't show identification that people realized she was actually only 17. Then, according to Jaguar, it was too late. She claims Rihanna's original team, the people who truly cared about her, were slowly removed. New handlers were put in place and anyone who asked questions started losing work. Jonathan says this is how the industry silences people without ever saying the word blacklist. Jobs stop coming, doors close, phones stop ringing, and then we were almost blacklisted. Oh, no. Absolutely blacklisted. They didn't tell you you were blacklisted. It's just the jobs that you used to get easy. All of a sudden, there were other people. There was a new direction. There were restaurants you used to eat at that were always sold out. Your table wasn't available. It is the shunning. Yeah. Exactly. Shunning.